Welcome back to Families in Action, brought to you by your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. Brought a little laughter on from the break because I was messing with my friend Kim over here. She gets a little nervous coming on the radio with us, and I said, "Come on, bring it back, Kim," and let her go with it.
There goes my nervous laughter.
It's beautiful.
I'll listen to Bob. He can take it.
Yeah, and one of the things, I've been doing this show with Carrie for a little bit now. I don't know, 6 months, 8 months, maybe longer. I don't know, probably maybe even longer. I lose track of time, so it could be over a year. But one of the things that I love about doing this show is that we're so just relaxed. We're just having a conversation, and the cool thing is that it's not stuff. We're not going to talk about stuff today that we don't talk about every day, right, Kim?
That's true, and it's our passion. So you just go on with the flow. So
yeah. So maybe I start with a story, right? I'll start. Maybe I start with a story, and the story goes something like this: there's a woman who's a hardworking woman. And we're going to get to yours in a second, but there's this woman who's a hardworking woman, and she works these 12-hour night shifts at a can company in the valley, right? And she's trying to provide for a family, and she's got this teenage son who's just a tornado, just a tornado, and the teenage son is in the middle of his drug addiction, and it takes him many, 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 many years to get sober after that period of time. And during that period, he doesn't once look at what's going on with his mom when she's not standing right there. I mean, he gets it, the obvious thing when she's screaming and yelling and trying to get him to stop doing what he's doing.
You can feel the tension in the air.
Yeah, but somebody said... so that same woman says to me, after I got sober, right? She says, when you used to be in jail, I could breathe a little easier because I knew, at least when you were in jail, that you were alive, and I heard her when she said that. Because I was a little bit sober and I was able to hear it, but it got me to thinking is we don't, when we're out there running and doing our thing, we don't for a minute try to stop and see what our family is going through.
Well, it keeps you using too, because when you're sober enough for a couple hours, you start thinking of the wreckage. It's like, I don't want to feel that. So then you're going to go out and continue to do what you're doing. And the guilt and shame is just the vicious cycle.
Yeah. Well, and it doesn't always, a lot of times drug use and drug addiction starts sort of innocently, peer pressure, try a hit of this, okay, what's it going to hurt? And
having a good time.
Right, and then it progresses into what it is, right? But I think as we start to use, you talked about the shame, and what happens is the behavior that's associated with using has everybody looking at us like, when are you going to stop? And we get that look over and over and over again. And that shame just keeps it going, sort of like a vicious cycle, right?
Yep, that's right.
Okay. So what I want to ask you to do is maybe start with your own story. And because I love when you talk about that girl looking at herself in the mirror.
In my wedding dress?
Well, I mean, let's get into it, right? Let's get into it. So, so how did it all start for you personally?
Well, first it started, I met my boyfriend. I was 12, he was 13.
Okay.
Not realizing that I was looking for love in all the wrong places at 12, what would lead a 12-year-old to go looking for a relationship. And I did, and I found somebody who was just as bad as I was, cutting school, just drinking and smoking marijuana at the time. And as we know now, sick people find sick people. And we found each other like a magnet, and that started the first party run of just having a good time and drinking, falling off cliffs, which we thought were
Great-
good times.
great time.
Yeah, great time. Let's do this again.
Yeah.
And we were always the ones getting too drunk. We were always the ones they were carrying around and trying to get us from down the cliff.
So let me cut in on you a little bit right here, because I want you. You're 12 years old and
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
you start drinking and smoking pot. He's 13. You guys are drinking and smoking pot
Yep.
together, right? And probably smoking cigarettes, because as we
Yeah.
all know,
Oh, yeah.
right? Of course, that's the first contract we break, right?
Yeah, that's
and,
right.
And I just want to, for people that are listening, I just want to grasp that real quick. Is 12 years old. 12 years old.
Yep.
And I want to make a statement about statistics real quick. Is at that time, 27 years ago, right? Well, it's more than 20.
Yeah,
I
that
don't
was
wanna-
more.
I don't want to say your age, but at that time, even 27 years ago when you got sober, the average age at which this person started drinking and smoking pot was 15 years old. Today, the average age is 12. At which a person starts drinking and smoking pot. So when you hear those, like when you were saying, I'm 12, he's 13, we're running around, we're drinking and smoking pot, even with everything that I know about this, about addiction and drug use and stuff like that, I'm like, wow, that's young. Wow, that's young. But let's put it in perspective. That is where most kids are starting
They
today.
do. I see 12-year-olds nowadays, but they look so young, and I see them making
They
out.
are
in the-
so young,
They
geez,
are.
right?
Yeah, you see them making out in the corner,
Doing
holding
what?
hands, like making out.
Oh, my God,
And I
Kim.
think, gosh, was that me?
That's you and Julio.
Yep. there we go. I thought, is that us? Wow, that's pretty young. And we were just having a good time. But as time went on, I was 18. Of course, I ended up pregnant.
Okay, I'm gonna cut you off right there, because I want listeners to hold on to that 12 and 13 years old and really get a picture. That's where it's happening.
It is.
And people need to hear that 12 and 13 years old. Take a good look.
Take a good look.
And we will get more back into your story as soon as we come back from the break. This is Families in Action, brought to you by your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS.